If you were to ask me, the most important area of a passing attack that nearly every player you play online lacks is the ability to attack the middle of the field where the user is. You can go into an average Madden game expecting to attack the flat, the sideline, and the streak down the sideline and do fairly well against most players. But when you run into a halfway decent Madden player, they're going to make you have to beat them over the middle of the field. And then when you get to that point, most players tend to crumble because attacking the user is a little bit nerve-wracking. They're unpredictable. In today's video, I'm going to share with you guys a way that you can open up your offense over the middle of the field, and will help you guys out significantly towards that goal of becoming a better passer. What is up, guys? Zan from the Zan Madden YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to share with you guys the way that you can attack the middle of the field, especially against zone coverage, and keep the ball away from the user while using a large chunk of the middle of the field, which is something that seems kind of like an oxymoron. The user's in the middle of the field. That's the area of the field that we're usually preconditioned to not attack. How do we do this more effectively? And one of the best kept secrets out there is that if you highball over the middle of the field but pass lead down or towards the body of your receiver, it throws the ball in a spot where the receiver can get a quick jump animation and kind of stab their toes down without really exposing their rib cage to a knockout animation by a breaking receiver. Also, the pass lead down keeps the ball from actually traveling further down the field and keeps it more body relative to this receiver, basically turning crossing routes, seams, skinny posts into basically timing curl routes in the middle of the field. And that's the way that you kind of have to think about it when you're attacking zone coverage or really trying to attack the middle of the field where the user is the primary player in that area of the field and you're just trying to stay away from it. So let's go ahead and kind of explain how this works. Really, when it comes to attacking zone, you need to understand that compression is probably the best way to do so. You could also spread the ball out and attack the seams a little bit better, but having quick reads over the middle of the field is also key. If the user is sagging in the middle of the field, you need to be able to hit a quick throw underneath to a drag while they're back there covering the route that you might throw as a high ball. And vice versa. You use that route underneath to bait them down, which opens up the high ball over their head. So let's go ahead and get into today's video. I'm going to share this first tip to you out of a very popular play over the years, which is the PA post shot out of gun tight flex. And really this play is something that you can highball all over the field. Let's start off with Adam Thielen. The first thing that you really need to understand here is that when you're facing zone coverage, in this case, this is a cover 3 zone, the outside third is going to play outside leverage on Thielen, and the inside third is supposed to take the break to the post. But with this particular throw, you'll notice that if you throw a high ball kind of down and inside, you can get this quick little stabbing animation, which turns the post into essentially what is a curl route. And really the pass lead is just left bumper or L1 if you're on PlayStation and down, like 6 o'clock, maybe 7 o'clock if you really want to keep the ball towards the left side of the field. But again, you see right here in the seam, you just kind of throw this little high ball. And you see how you get this little like kind of snappy animation where they just like catch it and come straight down. This is going to prevent a lot of those zone break on ball knockouts that you're typically going to see if you just do a regular high ball. So if I throw kind of this throw, you see how he over animates and there's a chance that that guy can hit him and make him drop the ball. You don't want that. You want the ball kind of placed body relative, but still high so you can get this kind of jumping, stabbing animation where they really don't have a chance at all to make a break on the throw and actually hit you to jar it loose. The other thing to consider with this concept is that the user cannot animate on a ball of this trajectory. Look how high this throw is. This is a situation where, again, you see like this ball is high, and I know that pick artists and lurkers do jump very, very high. You basically have to be underneath this route as a user with one of those abilities in the seam pretty far downfield to be able to guard this particular throw. And you see right here that this jumping animation is very, very short. See how he just basically makes a quick animation, comes down, protects the football, and we have a first down and a gain of 20. And that's just a simple skinny post out of compression. That's why skinny posts out of compression are popular every year. You see them in plays like Flood, out of the tight slots, which Henry ran towards the ultimate wildcard belt that he won. You are going to see them in a lot of different sets. People like to motion them in for compression purposes. And really the other thing that you can kind of do is whenever you're facing a cover 3, if you don't have a skinny post, you can really just use a regular streak. And the truth is, you just keep the outside corner off of you by attacking the sideline with something else, whether it's a wheel route to the running back or an out route or a corner route to a slot receiver, just to kind of pull the leverage off just a little bit. But it's the same concept. Look at Randy Moss here down the seam. I'm just going to go ahead and let him get into the seam, high ball down, get the little stabby animation, a quick catch. We're picking up 15 to 20 yards. Again, they're going to have to be on that throw pretty consistently. Again, I'll show this to you. put Randy Moss on a streak. Notice here how the outside third kind of has to play outside leverage. I get the little stabby animation down the seam. Pretty simple stuff right there on this play. Now, those are more vertical seam attacking routes that are effective. However, players will kind of get keen to those types of things, and they will want to kind of hedge their user towards one side or the other. So in this example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you a way to kind of attack the seam in both areas without really just running streaks. And this is basically to run what is called a meshing combo. This is just a typical air raid staple. You have 2 drags underneath, usually something that attacks the flat, and then something deeper in breaking over the top. And what you'll find with this is that if you have these 3 underneath attacking routes that typically hook curls that are found in these zones, whether they're vert hooks, hook curls, 3-recs, they tend to bite down a little bit more, which allows you to throw these high balls sooner to these players. Now, again, depending on the type of animation that you get, you may prefer a certain body archetype over another, which is why I left Randy Moss in this game specifically. I find that the taller receivers in general tend to over animate, which is why you saw this over leaping spec animation, which left his body exposed. And you see that the mid-zone KO was able to make a break on this and jar the ball loose. I did that a little bit on purpose because I have a theory that you actually want shorter receivers on this because you actually don't over animate nearly as much because they don't jump as high. So I'm going to put Tyreek Hill back in the game, who is admittedly shorter than Randy Moss, and I'm going to run the same meshing combo with 2 drags, a little out route out of the backfield to hold the flat, and a pull route down the left seam, which is supposed to garner the user attention in the left seam, but also serve as that pull route to open up the crosser if the play does hold on for a long while and you want to throw the ball deeper down the left sideline. But what you'll notice is that initially the 2 drags underneath do pull down this zone, which allows you to get those stabbing animations. And you see right there, we actually held onto that ball a lot easier in the middle of the field. Now, again, another thing you could do if you wanted to is kind of run buyers out of the backfield. If you got one particular hook curl that is really giving you trouble, you could kind of run buyers out of the backfield to kind of hold that zone down. And then that's going to really open up the middle of the field a little bit better. So you see how when you add that extra short route to one side of the field or the other, that hook curl on that corresponding side really does tend to bite down. If you were to compare the catch in traffic that Tyreek Hill got with the shorter jumping animation than Randy did to the play where he caught it clean, there was a lot more turf. And that's because we manipulated the underneath zones. A lot of players think that route combos really only manipulate deep zones in this game. Underneath route combos do pull hook curls relatively well. And especially if your opponent does like to get lazy and shade their coverage down for hard flats, to change purples into hard flats, their hook zones are going to play like this no matter your route combo. So you'll be able to attack the middle of the field with this without really having these underneath routes that you check down to. So that's something that you can consider as well. So now what we need to understand is that when we're talking about a vertical hook, we're talking about a zone that tells you what they want to do. Vertical. They want to get vertical. They want to attack those vertical routes or guard those vertical routes. So when you're dealing with somebody that is running a heavy cover 2 emphasis zone blitz, the first thing that you need to understand is the underneath check down is your friend right away. So when you snap these balls, notice how I've got this area that I could just throw these drags against. Now the user's got to commit, because unless they shade their coverage down, we're going to be giving up those drags every single play. And if they do shade down, you're going to have these high ball seams for the quick low stabbing catch that we were talking about just a moment ago. So you're playing that chess game of, okay, if you want to run hook curls, I'll pull those down with drags, throw the quick throws over the middle with the high ball down. If you want to run vertical hooks, I've got work to do to prove that I'm going to throw my check downs, because those are vertical zones. They want to get back in the seam. So again, if they're running those vertical zones, you attack with your seams or your posts or your crossers, whatever it is you want to attack with, and you throw your check down, get the ball out. You see how quickly they're giving you 7 yards. Now that is specifically with a vert hook found in a cover 2 blitz. When you start to get into a cover 2 zone, this is where this gets a little bit weird, because the double drag concept does tend to open up your seams again. And the same can really be said of cover 2 zone as well. If you want to run just a simple meshing concept with 2 seams against these cover 2 zones, get the ball out, throw the ball underneath of these drags, make them commit, because that's a free 7 yards that they're going to give you. Now, of course, the user is present on the field as well. You're going to get a lot of players that are going to run their DB fire, and they're gonna say, okay, I'm sick of these drags, I'm gonna bait, and they're gonna sit down right here in this area of the field, right? And they're gonna typically, you know, I'm gonna mimic this with just spy because they will take that first step towards the line. So if I'm reading a user on the right, we're pretending Fred Warner here, and they're kind of running their blitz like this and their user's low, you see that first step, it's a high ball down and inside and a quick stabbing animation. Now, this is where we start to get into the point where most players, when they are running this blitz meta, they want to make sure that they can guard low by protecting themselves with these safeties that they'll walk down. Most players do this. They will walk the safeties all the way down to this depth. But again, this is where it's very, very important that you guys understand that when they do this, that doesn't necessarily mean that you still can't manipulate their user left or right. Because unless they're shading their coverage down, they have to declare with their user which way they want to go. So you can still make them have to work for their stop. So now you've still put them in a spot where they still have to shade down even after walking the safeties down. And now you can get into a spot where, okay, now we've got them in a spot where, yeah, those safeties are walked down, but we could still do this trick where we run off one of the coverages here, make them have to play low. So, you know, maybe they're kind of hanging out here, and we can use those crossing routes. Once they get inside leverage on those dropping safeties, even though they're walked down in the box, you could still throw the high ball towards the body. So it doesn't have to be just a seam or a corner route or a post route that you're throwing high off the line. You can throw these crossing routes as well. So we block our blitz, snap the ball. There's that crossing route leverage. Maybe the user's hanging low, and you throw it just like that and use the streak on the other side to pull the coverage back. Again, you're kind of reading the user in the middle of the field. I know I'm making it look really easy right here, but again, if this user is muddying the drag reads underneath, you're going to be throwing the high ball to Thielen. Again, you have to imagine that he's staying on this drag over to the right. There's a lot of field if you imagine that Fred Warner was 2 steps further this way, respecting the drag. And of course, when they start to walk their safeties down as well, another weapon that you guys absolutely have, depending on what formation you have, is to walk your running back all the way out wide or motion a receiver all the way out wide, because now all of a sudden that safety, if they're in a deep half, has a terrible angle to guard a sideline streak. Now all of a sudden they're going to start to change their coverage shell. They're going to start to maybe rotate their outside corner back down the sideline, which is going to open up quick throws to the flat. And now all of a sudden you've reopened the outside of the field, all by showing that you have a willingness to attack the middle of the field. So that is today's video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this little quick seminar on using the high ball in the middle of the field, manipulating underneath zones, manipulating users, and attacking with the high ball relative to the body rather than leading them downfield. If you guys did enjoy the video, please do me a quick favor, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and also hit the notification bell so you guys are notified when I upload Monday through Friday with my long form content and Monday, Wednesday, Friday with my YouTube shorts. And as always, if you're looking for more Madden tips and tutorial content, head over to my strategy website, gridirongameplans.gg, where everything on the website is unlocked for $9.95 a month, including our members only Discord channel. Until tomorrow, guys, this is Zan. Get in the lab and good luck.